Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. He's back, JAB. Uncle James, Ali Bashir is back in the house, and I'm sure there's lots to talk about, lots to discuss. First and foremost, the most important question is, how are you?
I'm thankful to God I am okay. I feel pretty good. I feel healthy. I feel strong. I just left a training camp here in Ukraine, and I got a challenge by one of the guys in the camp. And the challenge was, could I make 205 pounds inside of 4 weeks? And of course, I accepted the challenge. Well, I lost the challenge. I lost. I came close. I came in at 211 pounds. I hadn't been 211 pounds, and God had in 20 years. But I came in at 211 pounds, and I was very weak.
Uncle, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
There you go. You were set. I can hear you. Sorry about it. So you were in training camp, sorry. You left the training camp.
And I got a challenge from one of the guys in the training camp whether I could make 205 pounds. And
hello?
Mind you, I haven't been to, pardon me?
He's there, but I know there's connections there. See. It's there. Let's wait for it to come back. You there, Uncle?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, he's there. Keep going. So you just left training camp. Go ahead.
And I tried to make it to 205 pounds. And I hadn't been 205 pounds in a little over 10 years. I made it to the 211, and I was totally weak. So right now I'm back at 225, which is more suited for me now at nearly 70 years old. So I'm at 225. My ideal weight, I'd like to be 213, 215. You know, that's healthy for me.
So what encouraged you to get back into training?
Training.
Yes.
I never really left training. I always trained. I kept training. I never left training. Boxing is my life. It's a lifestyle for me. I've been doing it so long, you know, and I don't want to leave it. I just have a passion. I always think that I can make it better. I always think that my input can make the sport better. You know, I see so many flaws and insufficiencies in the sport. I just keep thinking that my input will make it better. My input will change it. I don't know if that's an actual fact, but I believe that I can.
Well, there's lots of things we can talk about tonight that will not only show your knowledge within your sport, you know how you have within the sport, but also can convey that message to those who want to learn more about the sport just by listening to the wisdom that you give with the various topics we'll talk about tonight. First topic I've got to talk to you about, obviously, is your fighter, Vlad SIRENKO. How's he doing at the moment? What's the update with Vlad?
Vlad SIRENKO won a fight a week ago. He won a fight against a formidable challenger. You know, he's 17-0 right now with 14 KOs, and he's moving along. Although, you know, there's much to be desired as far as I'm concerned. There's things that he has to learn, responses that I want him to make, and make the adjustments inside the ring. You really can't tell what a fighter has until he can do it when he's on the hot seat. You can do a whole lot of things inside of a gym, on the mitts and on the pads and stuff, But when you're under the big lights, that's where the pressure cooker is. That's where you've got to get it right or you get knocked out. And in my mind, that there's much to be desired from young Vlad SIRENKO. But he's doing okay. He's 17-0. He's 14 KOs. And I'm looking to move forward with him in the coming year, 2022. I expect that.
I know that COVID was a big thing for you guys, obviously not just for you, but for the boxing world, and a lot of plans were thrown out the window because of COVID.
Yeah, COVID slowed things down a bit, but we were able to still get some fights in during. We were still able to get some fights in during COVID. It slowed things down, but it didn't stop things, you know. Now we're picking up where we left off.
Fantastic. Right. So, you say much to be desired about Vlad SIRENKO. Are you concerned about Vlad and the amount of how he's fighting so far, how he's reacted to the opposition? Or are you expecting to do more against the opposition?
I think he's making adjustments. I just think that at this point that he could make adjustments better. There's a lot of things that the young fighters are confronted with. You know, you have the influences from friends, from family, and from pundits alike inside the sport and those on the outside of the sport. So there's a lot that the boxer himself has to contend with, and also the trainers have to contend with, because trainers are not just applying the sports. Trainers are fathers, you know, babysitters, you know, psychoanalysts, psychotherapists. So the trainers are wearing a lot of hats that people on the outside of the sport don't really realize that they're wearing. So they have to contend with a lot coming into the sport and during the sport. I'm fortunate that Vlad SIRENKO is a studious young man. Thus far, he's been very respectful of me, and he does and tries to do exactly what I ask him to do. I can't think of many fighters that I've trained over the years who will show up for sparring sessions as they agreed to. I've had Vlad SIRENKO in with Bermain Stavern. I've had him in with JOYCE. I've had him in with Alexander Usyk. I've had him in with the who's who, Daniel Dubois. You know, I've had him in, you know, with the who's who, Povetkin. You know, I've had him in with the who's who, the French, the guy from France, Tony Yoka. You know, so he's showed up for all of these sparring sessions. He's always showed up. He's never hemmed or hawed. He's never made an excuse. He never said that my pinky hurting or this or that. He showed up. So he showed, in doing so, he showed his eagerness to participate in the brutal, rugged sport of boxing. I mean, you know, people can talk the talk, but very rarely do they walk the walk.
I've never asked you this question, but I'm going to ask it tonight. Do you have total control of Vlad SIRENKO? Do you have total? Are things running with Vlad SIRENKO the way you want them? Let me try this. Are things running with you the way you want them with Vlad SIRENKO or not?
Repeat the question.
Do you have total control of Vlad SIRENKO, would you say?
I don't think nobody has total control of any human being. You know, it's what you agree to. You take what you can get. You come in and you say, well, this is what I have planned for you. And when I say that to him, that this is what I have planned for you, then he'll come back and say, well, this is what I planned for myself. And then I'll come back and say, well, this is what I have planned for you. And we'll meet somewhere in the middle. But you don't have complete control over no fighter. Can you hear me? I can't hear you though. I don't hear anything. Nothing. You hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you though. I can't hear you. Yeah. Your mic settings. It's your mic settings.
Let's try that.
Okay, there you are. There you are. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly now or not?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
We'll work with this and see how this works. It's not my normal mic. I can hear you.
Okay, as long as you can hear me.
You can hear me. Okay, great. So we were talking, apologies for that. So we were talking about whether you had complete control, because I know you said in previous camps, or you had a previous camp with Alexander Usyk, that you didn't have complete control. Do you have that control in terms of setting training camp up with SIRENKO, and in terms of?
Yeah, because like I said,
I know you talked about him being good for have control.
It's a partnership. I bring to the table the ramifications of what a fighter has to do in the training camp. And I make it clear to him that nobody in the camp is wiser than I am when it comes to this boxing, because I've got so many years. You know what I'm saying? So I make it clear to him, say, listen, you have to follow my guidelines in order to progress as a boxer, because anything else that anybody else in this training camp tells you, they have no experience to tell you that. They're not in a place where they can give you direction because they have not been there. I've been there and I know what I'm doing.
So, what are you not happy about with Vlad SIRENKO at the moment?
Oh, I'm happy with Vlad SIRENKO. He's a good guy.
Okay.
He listens. It's just like a parent with a child. You know that they can do better. You see them doing things like his response time in a fight. If somebody throws a punch at him, I like the response time to be quicker. It's not where I want it to be. When somebody throws a punch, it's taking him too long to respond, and I want him to respond much quicker. That's one of the things, sometimes people will say things and introduce different ideas to him, and I say, no, that's not so. This is not applicable in the sport that you're in. You don't have time to be guessing and fooling around. So this is what I'm contending with,
Then is that because obviously if you're the master, and the pupil, the way I understand, the pupil must have full trust in the master. If the pupil is now looking at other ideas outside of what the master's teaching him, does that mean the pupil doesn't fully believe in the master, or is it that the pupil has other ideas about doing things?
It's just a young person. It's just like you and me.
Yeah.
Our mothers and fathers directed us to do things, but we were more apt to try things on our own. And most of the time when we tried things on our own, we screwed up. I know I did,
Yeah.
I just went outside what my mother told me, and I said, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to try to do it like this here. And then when I messed up, I had to lower my head and say, damn, I messed up again, So, but for the most part, I get along good with Vlad SIRENKO. I get along good with him, and he's respectful of me. He gives me the honor and respect of being his trainer and confidant,
So when are we going to see Vlad make the next step to fight somebody, maybe a a seasoned veteran that we all kind of know?
Well,
You know,
we're closing in on it. There, he's like I said, he's 17-0 now, and I made reference to him a couple of days ago that we got to step up now. We got to start taking more serious contenders, more serious fights. So we're looking at fighting Marius Wack, Alexander Ustinov, and then going into the next year. Then we're looking for international titles, intercontinental titles. And right now, Vlad is ranked, I think, 38 in the world.
so you're looking at taking on Marius Vac
Yeah.
next?
Yeah, we're trying to fight Marius Wack or Alexander Ustinov. Those kind of guys are next. Because they're old veterans.
Because, I mean, it's only the other day that, yeah, that's a good fight. It's only the other day that Dillian White fought Marius Vac. So,
yeah, those are guys. They're older vets, but they're veterans nonetheless, and they can be dangerous and tricky if you don't know what you're doing in there. You know, so that's what I'm looking for. To contend with next. In our very next fights, I'd like to fight Marius Wack or Ustinov in our very next fights. You know, these are the step up fights that we want.
so that's what you want. But is that what his management wants?
Well, long as Vlad SIRENKO and I are on the same page, then everybody else has to take a back seat. I explained it to Vlad. Vlad agreed with it. I agree with it. And with that there, you know, it happens. That's why I can't understand why it takes so long to make the serious fights in any division. Because when the boxer is complicit with the trainer and vice versa, then the fight usually can happen.
Okay, so that sounds good, because I mean that's a fight. Marius Vac and Ustinov are guys that people know, even if they're at the end of their careers or the tail end of the careers, they're still good fights for someone like Vlad SIRENKO.
They're respectful. They're respectful in the world of boxing.
Definitely.
You know, they're respectful. You know, and
definitely, no doubt about that.
And that's why I
are we going to see Vlad SIRENKO? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's why I tell Vlad, Alexander Ustinov and Marius Wack, these are respectful guys. You know, they're veterans of the sport. You know, so I would like to see him in there with those guys. That's taking the next step. And then going into the new year, God willing, we can take on more serious contenders. I think a win over Marius Wack and Ustinov should put us in the top 20, 25 guys in the world. And once you get in the top 10, top 25, then there's no chance.
Okay.
You got to fight then.
Are we going to see Vlad SIRENKO fighting another USYK promotions, or is that out of the question now?
Pardon me?
Are we going to see SIRENKO fighting another USYK promotion, or is that out the window for now?
I really can't say. You know, whether we'll fight on another USYK promotions or not, I don't know. But I won't say.
A fight I wouldn't mind seeing is I wouldn't mind seeing Vlad SIRENKO fighting Dave Allen.
Hey, that could happen too, you know. Or Cash, you know, Cash Ali.
Cash Ali.
Yeah, I like those fights.
What about Trevor Bryan? I know that he's the WBA champion.
Oh, definitely.
But how far is SIRENKO from a Trevor Bryan fight?
Oh, I'd fight Trevor Bryan anytime in 22.
Wow, so you would fight.
In fact, I've made mention on several occasions about us boxing with Trevor Bryan. You know, I'd like that fight. I really would. I'd like that fight right now for Vlad SIRENKO. If the opportunity came to pass right now, you know, we'd take that fight with Trevor Bryan. I think it's a good fight for Vlad SIRENKO at the stage of boxing where he's at now. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Where's Uncle Bashir? He's gone again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
You there, Uncle?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, 22. 22, Trevor Bryan.
22.
Yes. You would fight Trevor Bryan in 2022. No doubt
Yes, I would. I'd love that
about
fight.
it.
If the fight was offered to us, right now, I would jump for the opportunity to take the fight.
Okay. So, been asked a question here. Can Uncle Bashir please explain how he prepares a fighter that is going for 4 rounds to reach step his endurance up to do 8 or more rounds?
You just either add or you subtract. You don't want to train the guy for a 10-round fight and he's only boxing 4 rounds. You know, you prepare a guy. I would prepare the guy for a 6-round fight or 8-round fight if he's going to box 4 rounds, because you never know what the opponent is going to offer him in those 4 rounds. You know, he may put pressure on the guy so much in the first round that he'll cause him to utilize 3 rounds worth of energy. Now you're stuck because you don't use up 3 rounds worth of energy in a 4-round fight. So you got to be prepared for the toughest fight. When you're prepared for the toughest fight, then you can't be surprised by anybody.
The question is Alan the Babbage Savage, or Alan the Savage Babbage. What are your thoughts of him, Uncle? Have you seen him fight?
Who?
Alan the Savage Babbage.
No. Who is he and where is he from?
He's I think he's a Croatian or something like that.
No,
he's like a tearaway. He looks like he could fight. He looks like he's quite a bridgeweight. He seems to have some power on him, but he just comes out throwing lots and lots and lots of punches and just overwhelms guys.
No, I haven't heard of him. I haven't seen him or anything. I'd like to get some footage.
I'll send you some tape. No worries.
Okay, that'll be good. That'll be good. I'd like to take a look at him.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
I've seen a lot of those kind of guys, you know, and everybody is a gangster until they meet another gangster. You understand?
I get what you're saying.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, Joe Frazier was a gangster until he ran into George Foreman. After that day, you know?
Yep, that's right.
So George Foreman was a gangster until
Muhammad Ali.
Sonny Liston was a gangster, you know. So
yeah, I know.
You come out throwing all these punches and stuff, but sometimes you're gonna run into somebody that got the same mentality you got, and you know, things change.
Intentions.
Me, I'm the kind of trainer. Boxing is front and center with me. I don't care whether the guy's a puncher or he wasn't a puncher. Boxing is first and foremost to me. The logistics of boxing is more important to me. How to use the jab, how to defend against the counter punches, period. You know, how to roll, how to get back inside and get outside. You know, the logistics of boxing is more important. I just saw, I think last night I saw something where the guy that holds the record for the first round knockouts in the history of boxing was Wilfred Benitez. And by most people's standards, Benitez wasn't supposed to be a puncher. But yet still he holds the record for first round knockouts. So, hey, the name of the game is boxing.
Boxing, not punching.
Muhammad Ali, if you look at Ali's record, Ali had a lot of knockouts, but he wasn't considered a puncher. If you look at Pernell Whitaker's record, he had a lot of knockouts, but he wasn't considered a puncher. You know, it's the name of the game to have your way in boxing is to learn how to box. And that's what I pride myself on, being a boxing teacher. I see I'm not well received wherever I go, you know, because some people look at it as though it's arrogance. No, it's quiet humility, quiet pride in what I do.
Confidence.
Yeah, I don't want to sit back and say I agree with something that somebody else is doing and I don't agree with it. I'm not going to make myself feel slighted to make somebody else feel good. I see people all around boxing, wherever I've gone, Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland, Sweden, France, Italy, Spain, you know, South Africa, Dubai. I've seen so-called boxing trainers all over the globe, and 85% of them didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what they was teaching. They were just teaching something that they thought
they didn't understand.
Yeah, and they was teaching something they thought was right, or something that nobody contested, you know. And like I said before, don't let the guy have a guy they'll win a belt. Look what my guy won a belt, and he got away with something. But from where I'm sitting at, I see a lot of boxing trainers out there that don't know squat about boxing. You know, that don't know squat about boxing.
Absolutely. Well, this leads me into our next conversation, Uncle. So your ex-charge, Alexander Usyk, he now has his big fight coming up against Anthony Joshua. It was reported in Ukrainian news that his training team they've had him training for the last 5 months. And he's been trained to the point of making Alexander Usyk give up. In all the time you trained Alexander Usyk, did you ever train to the point where he wanted to give up?
I don't follow you when you say you want to give up.
Well, they're doing all this strength training with him now, and they're pushing him to the extreme where he's training so much now that he's going to have to say no more. He's having to quit because the training's so intense.
Well, I think that the Ukrainian or the Russian trainers, which are much of their training habits are alike. I think it differs from the American style of training. You know, this is what I'm introducing to Vlad SIRENKO. I said, sometimes, Vlad, you have to think outside of the box. You know, all of the Ukrainian boxers and Russian boxers and Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, all of these guys train basically with the same methods that they trained with in the 60s, in the 50s. You understand? Tough, you know, tough, bull-like instances that they think that's all right. And I think otherwise. Like I said, I'm into boxing, finesse boxing, not being tough, not being hard, not being rugged. So I guess Usyk's team, I guess they have their own attitudes on how to lead a guy to the championship. But I saw some things in the Derek Chisora fight where they missed. Let me rephrase it. In my opinion, they missed. I felt that Derek Chisora was very tired, very weak, that he could have been had. I felt Chisora was exhausted at the end of round 7. And I think that when he came out for the following rounds, he came out with this aura like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But he was selling what they used to call in America, he was selling wolf tickets. I would have had Usyk to steady, calm down, and take the fight to Chisora, because I don't think Chisora had the gas to go those other rounds. You know, I don't think that he had the gas to do that. You know, I think that.
So now the trainers are saying, so now the trainers are saying that they want to push Usyk up to 225 pounds to fight around 220, 225. They want him to fight Joshua out. Your thoughts on that?
I think that the 225 is going to slow him down.
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's going to slow him down. I think it's going to make him available for Joshua to hit on him. I wouldn't worry about weight. I would worry about
speed and movement, footwork,
boxing and stamina. So I would bring him in at 217, 218.
No, they're trying to bulk him up. They're trying to make him stronger. But people I've argued online with, they think they want Usyk to get bigger and stronger so he can handle Joshua. I said, well, that's not going to happen in one fight. He has to build into that. Your thoughts?
He's not going to... that weight is going to have to come on him naturally. When you put artificial weight on the fighter, you slow the fighter down. I would not worry about weight, because when you saw that with Michael Hunter, when they put that 225, 230 on Michael Hunter, you know, it didn't make for a good fight. I think that Usyk needs a way into the fight at 217, 218, you know, no more than 219, where he can still have movement. Movement is the key to his success. You know, Anthony Joshua is a big, strong young man, and you don't want to get in there trying to trade punches with Anthony Joshua, because that would make for a short night. You know, I think it would be a problem. So I would have Usyk to stay with the lighter weight and go for the boxing. The name of the game, like I just said, the name of the game is boxing. It's not who hits the hardest. You know, I mean, Anthony Joshua's a big, strong guy. You don't want to go in there trying to go muscle for muscle with him.
The other thing the trainers came out, one of the statements they made, which I was flabbergasted by, they said, we are making a new Usyk because the last trainer left him broken. Along those lines.
Well, I don't know what trainer he's talking about. Usyk has had 1, 2, maybe 3 trainers since me. But he can't be talking about me, because it really can't be talking to me, because he won his first world title with me. And if they are talking about me, they're trying to they degrading Usyk, because if they're talking about me, then you mean to tell me it took Usyk 3 years to find out that I was doing something wrong for him? No, they can't say that to me. These are the people that are doing something wrong now, because his 2 fights at heavyweights, he has looked what they call subpar. You know, he didn't win over no fans, but with the abilities that he showed in the fights thus far at heavyweight. In fact, after my departure, there are those who say Usyk has not looked the same. You know,
He hasn't.
people get caught up in egos and things like this here. People always get caught up in the ego part of boxing instead of applying their brain power. You know, I look at different things in boxing, different things in the sport that tells me whether to go left, go right, or go down the center. And when I worked with Alexander Usyk, I said, you know what? I saw his ability when I first walked in the door. I said, this guy doesn't have to wait around a long time because he has so much ability. But I based my information going forward with Usyk because of his athleticism, his ability to box, move. He was limber, loose, and he was strong. But now, you know, I beg to differ. It looks different now, you know. And I think that
What are we looking at now?
he seems to be going for more strength, like he's a bodybuilder, you know. And I don't know whether that's going to work out well. I don't think so. I don't think that you can make what God didn't make. God didn't make you to be the big heavyweight. I mean, you're talking about Anthony Joshua, you're talking about a big human being. You know, I would have Usyk to be himself. You know, box, box, box. That's the name of the game. Box, box, box. When you go outside of that envelope, then you're going to have a problem.
I can't see how they haven't seen Usyk's. Let's take it from the Tony Bellew fight, the Chaz Witherspoon fight, and the Derek Chisora fight. They've all been poor performances, and Tony Bellew was out boxing Alexander Usyk. So I don't know where people are getting this idea that Usyk is this masterclass boxer.
I thought Bellew was ahead in that fight. I thought he was ahead in that fight. He was doing well for himself.
He was out boxing. It was out boxing Usyk cleanly and clearly. You just ran out of gas. That's all.
Yeah, I thought that Bellew was doing well in the fight, pretty well, you know. And he got caught. He got clipped. He ran out of gas, you know. I mean, you know, it's a whole lot of things that you have to control going into big fights. You know, like I said, Usyk is a great boxer. All right. He's a great boxer. But I wouldn't have him out there trying to prove no strength stuff with Anthony Joshua. It's not a good look. It wouldn't be a good look. It wouldn't be a good thing for him.
Based on what you've seen of Alexander Usyk today, or his last fight with Derek Chisora, is it enough of what he did against Chisora to beat Joshua?
No.
Why?
Well, I thought that Usyk was tiring at the end because he had burned up a lot of energy moving around the ring when he didn't have to. I would have had him as the trainer, I would have had him settle down and take the fight to Derek Chisora, man. Because Derek Chisora was acting tough, but he didn't have nothing left in the tank. And they didn't see that. So they had Usyk keep on moving. Pick here, pick there, pick there, pick there. You know, he moved more than what he had to. I thought that he could have stopped Derek Chisora if he had applied the gas and took the fight to Derek Chisora. But they didn't want to take chances because Derek was hitting hard, I suppose. But if they think Derek Chisora was hitting hard, what they think they're going to run into with Anthony Joshua? In Joshua, you got a puncher, you got a boxer, and you got a strong guy. So you got 3 times the
and a world champion.
and a world champion. You know, his thinking, his mentality is different, you know. Yeah, he slipped up on the in the Ruiz fight. but he compensated for that. He came back and forth, a near perfect fight in the rematch against Ruiz. So that's water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't base what happens in the Usyk versus Joshua fight. I wouldn't base my information on what happened in the first Ruiz fight going into the fight now. No, that would be a big mistake doing it.
I've asked you this question before. I'm going to ask you it again. If Usyk were to get brutally knocked out by Joshua, would you pick him off the floor literally and, you know, start give him a fight plan and bring him back, or is that it?
My interest now is in SIRENKO. My focus now is on SIRENKO. I would be cheating Alexander Usyk now to try to work with him. I would be cheating him because my heart wouldn't be in it. He removed me from that position. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that's it. You know, that's, you know, he said that, well, he wanted to move on. He moved on, and I moved on. So my interest now is in trying to raise up a SIRENKO.
Are you concerned? Are you worried for Alexander Usyk going into this fight against Anthony Joshua, or has he got it under control?
Well, naturally, there's some emotion that I have for Alexander Usyk. You know, there's some interest in. You know, I'd be remiss if I said that I didn't have any emotions. Sure, I have emotions. Sure, I'm worried about him, but I'm worried about Anthony Joshua too because I have connections to both guys. You know. And I'm emotional about it. There's some things that I think that Joshua can do to lock the fight up. And I think there are some things that Usyk can do to give himself a better chance. So I'm right in the middle, and I know what they need to do, which each guy needs to do to win the fight. You know, the game plan is in my mind. I can see what each guy needs to do to make the fight easier for him. But believe me, Alexander Usyk is going to be up against it versus Anthony Joshua.
That's not what you were saying a couple of years ago. So that changed. The whole thing has changed.
Yeah, because I've watched him. You know, I've watched him in the two fights he's had at heavyweight. I said way back, maybe his 6th or 7th fight as a cruiserweight, I said that Alexander Usyk would go on to win the heavyweight championship of the world. That was my thinking then.
You did say that. I remember you saying it.
You know, that was my thinking then. And he has the ability. But one of the most valuable things in a boxing circle for any champion or any person that's aspiring to be champion, the most valuable entity around the people is the people that are there in his face every day. Emmanuel used to always tell me years ago, you know, we'd be on the road anywhere in the world. And Emmanuel said, always beware of who's with the fighter. Emmanuel would call me 3 hours in the morning and say, check on the fighter, see who's with him, see who's around him, see who's in his room. Find a way to check out him, knock on the door, do anything just to see who's there with him. He said, because the people that was around him was the guy that was going to either make him or break him. And I never forgot that.
Yes.
Mentality of the people around the fighters can make the fighter or break the fighter. You understand?
Break him. Absolutely.
I had Usyk in our first title defense, the only fight that I worked with him after he won the title.
Yes.
We fought the South African.
Machuno.
Mm-hmm. And Machuno, I knew him from when I trained Eddie Chambers, that Machuno was slick, crafty, but he could punch too. He was a pretty sharp puncher. And Machuno was doing different things in the very beginning of the fight. And Usyk wanted to go get him in the 2nd or 3rd round. And I told him, I said, no. Just keep putting foot pressure on him. Keep putting foot pressure on him. Go close to him, and then when he comes to you, move away from him. And then when he stops coming to you, go back to him. Keep using foot pressure. And I think it was 6th or 7th round, I was watching, everything that Machuno did, and he was doing some things that led me to believe that now, and I told Usyk in the round when I said, okay, now go to him. Because I knew mentally and physically that he was shot and he was ready to be had. And I think Usyk knocked him out in the next round. So it's not all of this pity pat slappy slap pad work and all this cute stuff and all this thing that they punch, some circle that they punch. I don't know what it is. It's just another apparatus for people to make money off of people in boxing. And the so-called trainers, they buy these things to make themselves seem like they're doing such a good job. And I think that is all bullshit. Bullshit. All right. As a young boxer, many, many years ago, we came into the gym. You had the straight, you had the double end bag, you had the speed bag, and you had a heavy bag. And you had the information from the knowledgeable trainers who taught you the logistics of boxing. Mm-hmm. Now they got all these cones and skip ropes and ladders in the gym and all this. I think that is a bunch of bullshit that people hang on to because psychologically, mentally, they're weak. They're weak, and they can be had because of their weakness. They can be very, very susceptible to getting their asses whooped.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to move on to another ex-charge of yours, Malik Scott, and his working with Deontay Wilder. What are your thoughts? You know Malik Scott. What are you made of Malik Scott,
Malik Scott,
fighter to the trainer?
Malik Scott and Deontay Wilder have a relationship that goes back many years. So I can't say yay or nay. Right now, I think this is a 50-50 fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think it's anybody's fight at this point. I think that Malik is a knowledgeable guy. He's been in boxing for a long time, possibly many years of his life he's been in boxing. This is his first outing as a boxing trainer, and he's coming in at the top level. So it remains to be seen what he can do to change the mentality, to change the outlook of his last fight, to see what he can do to get Deontay Wilder to go forward. Everybody has an opinion. Tyson Fury, Javen Hill, Malik Scott, Deontay Wilder, and the pundits and fans alike. We all have our opinion about what we believe, but it's only an assumption until that bell rings to start the first round.
But you've seen Malik Scott and Wilder training. With your experienced eye, have you seen any changes to Wilder? Have you seen any improvements, or you think it's the same old Wilder?
Well, I think that you can do a whole lot of things in the gym. I think a whole lot of things you can look a certain way in the gym, you can do certain things, but nothing don't count until that bell rings to start the first round. When you're under the big lights, when you're under the pressure cooker, that's when it's going to come. That's when it's all going to tell. That's when it's all going to come to fruition when it's going on in that ring. I don't care about what they did on the videotapes. I don't care about what they did on the mitts, on the heavy bag, hitting the speed. I don't care. That's all the preparational stage. And it's standard when it comes to boxers. What I'm telling you is when that bell rings, that's going to tell the story. I think I lost this guy. Hello. Hello. Hello, darling. Hello, darling. This is Louis, darling. And it's so nice to have you back where you belong. And I can tell, darling. And I can swear, darling. And it's so nice to have you back where you belong. I wish I knew whether we were still on. I can entertain you guys. I can entertain anybody that's here. But I've got to know. I've got to get a high sign. Somebody's got to send me a sign.
Uncle, keep going. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, StreamYard. Right. So talk a bit more about this Wilder and.
I like I said, you can do a whole lot of things when you're preparing. I've seen this before, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over in the 52 years that I've been here, and you can do all the apparatus, but you can't tell until that bell rings to start the first round.
Okay. Now, there's been almost a 2-year gap between the last fight and this fight. Would there have been significant changes within Deontay Wilder enough to change the balance in his favor, let's say?
I really can't say. I know the mindset of Javen Hill, all right? He's gonna try to have Tyson Fury to bully Deontay Wilder. I don't know whether that's the best thing to do, because Deontay Wilder always has that equalizer. But I think that Javen is gonna basically formulate a strategy to do much of what he did in the second fight, to jump on Deontay, to try to back him up, try to make him make mistakes, and run him into something. But again, you can't tell until the big lights come down. When the big lights come down, then we're gonna know.
What? Uncle's gone missing again.
Yeah, it is.
Uncle, where are you? There you are. What have you made of? I was going to ask you the question. I completely forgot what the question was. What have you made of Tyson Fury's claim the one-punch knockout finish Deontay Wilder?
Please repeat the question.
What do you think?
I can't hear your question.
Uncle, can you hear me? I'm there.
Yeah, but what was your question? I didn't hear your question.
Go ahead.
I didn't hear your
The question was, what do you make of this? The one-punch knockout that he's talking about. The question was, what do you make of Tyson Fury and Sugar Hill talking about a one-punch knockout finish?
I think it's just a ploy. I think it's wishing on a star. You know, if it does happen, you say, "See, we told you that." And if it doesn't happen, well, we couldn't do it because of this, that, or the other. So it means little or nothing to me. That means nothing. You know, that doesn't mean anything because somebody said about a one-punch knockout.
Much to do about nothing. What about Tyson bulking himself up to 300 pounds?
He can carry it.
Or is he just talking rubbish as usual?
He could carry it because he's a big guy. He could carry 300 pounds and it wouldn't do nothing to him. This guy is 6'9", so he can carry 300 pounds and it wouldn't hurt him.
Uh-oh. Uncle, you there? I'm here. Go on, Uncle.
I said he could carry 300 pounds and it would not affect him because he's 6'9". So there's no problem with him carrying 300 pounds.
Can he carry it for 12 rounds?
Well, it remains to be seen. If he's just walking around the ring, yeah, he can carry. He's not looking. If he comes at 300 pounds, he's not looking to box. He's looking to punch.
Wow.
He's looking to punch. He's looking to engage. He's saying that, you know, throw your right hand. I'm going to throw my right hand and my left hand. You know, I'm 300 pounds. If I hit you, all right, if I hit you, I'm going to get results.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a gamble.
Okay. What have you made of the Deontay Wilder talking about him getting dented at the side?
I don't know. I don't know. It's yay or nay. You know, if Deontay said he got a dent in the side of his head, something happened. Who am I to say that he didn't, you know? But that's water under the bridge now. They got to fight. They got to get back in that ring.
Have you ever known any boxer, any heavy puncher or big puncher, who cause dent in a fighter's side of his head?
No.
It's normal.
No.
Is that a cause of concern for yourself?
Well, I would suggest that you have somebody that's qualified to be inside of the room when people are preparing. You can't just send the plumber into a boxing trainer's room when they're preparing the wraps of the opposite corner. You've got to have people there who know what to look for. A lot of people don't know what to look for. A lot of people don't know what to look for.
So, having looked back at the fight with Wilder Fury, the second fight, did you feel everything was on the up in terms of Wilder say that people say Wilder was drugged? The other thing is Fury's gloves were loaded. We know for one thing his balance wasn't right from round one, regardless if Fury backed him up or not. His balance looked wrong from the first round. But what are your thoughts on it all?
They didn't find nothing. Nobody brought charges against him. So I mean, what are we left with?
We're left with a situation where an arbitration has gone through. Wilder's getting his man back in the ring, but after the fight, then there's possibility of then put charges. Then you can't charge him now because the guy's got to fight.
But in a case like that, the criminal charges could be brought against anybody who's a perpetrator of that kind of action in a boxing ring. It's a crime.
Course, Of course, but if you want to get revenge, you get the revenge and then you charge them.
But
If the guy goes behind bars, you don't get revenge.
that's 2
If this is
years
the
ago.
case,
It's 2 years ago. They're not going to charge Tyson Fury with anything now. It's 2 years. It's 2 years in the rearview mirror.
so you're saying it's 2 years ago, Uncle? 2 years ago.
Well, like I said, it was 2 years ago. They're not going to charge Tyson Fury with nothing now. They couldn't prove it now. It's just too far.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting thoughts. Very interesting thoughts. So, do you feel, in your boxing experience, was that fight on the up, or was there something wrong in that fight? In your boxing experience, looking back on that fight,
what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll look at the fight between now and tomorrow when we talk.
Okay.
All right. We'll do a
Okay.
part two. We'll do a part two, you and I. I'm going to go back and I'm going to observe the fight.
Let's do a part 2 of this. All right.
All right. And I'm going to go back and look at it.
Okay.
But I'm telling you,
Okay.
when you have a big fight like that, you got to have qualified people to come in and observe the wraps, the gloves, everything. I do it in every fight. I don't care if it's a 4-round fight or 12-round fight. I always want to be in there. When you wrap the glove, when you wrap the guy's hands, when you put the gloves on, I want to be here. And I say something to the commissions too. I said, look, I want to be here when they put the gloves on. I want to examine the gloves. I want to smell the wraps. I want to touch the wraps. I want to feel the texture. I want to check his hand. I want to put his hands in my hands. Put his hands in my hands. Let me just touch my hands. If you look back, there's an old photo of Joe Frazier in the room with Mike Tyson before Mike Tyson fought his son. And he's got both Mike Tyson's hands in his hands. And it's only fair. Put your hands in my hand. If you're right, let me just feel your hands. You can't say you don't want to do it. So put your hands in my hands. Let me feel your wraps. Let me smell the texture. Let me feel everything. Then go ahead and put the gloves down. After I put my hands in the gloves and declare that, yeah, these gloves are all right, then you can go ahead and glove up. But you got to have somebody in that room. You can't just have a good guy in there talking and looking the other way and don't know what they're doing.
I don't think JD is experienced enough to know about those gloves like that. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought so. All right, we'll wrap it up for tonight, and we will come back tomorrow, and we'll do a part 2.
God willing. I'll reach out for you, brother.
After you've looked at the video.
All right. Good.
That sounds good. We hope that everybody's enjoyed tonight, and we'll see you soon, I think. See you tomorrow night.
Good talking with you.
Absolutely. You too, Uncle.
Okay.
I know. Talk to you soon, Uncle. You too. Take care.